So if you're someone who's coming in and you've been training a year or 2, 3, like you need to develop that muscle maturity. It's going to take time. Some of us genetically are better off than others, but you really need this level of discipline. And most people aren't understanding how important consistency is with their nutrition.
Oh, it's everything.
Even their training. But like if you're, measuring macros, like it gets a good rap, it gets a bad rap. There's times of the year I measure, there's times of the year I don't measure, right? But measuring always allows me to understand where am I. Hey guys, I'm Don Saladino, and I've been in the fitness business for 25 years. I started as a coach, became a fitness entrepreneur. I've owned several gyms in the city, launched a successful digital platform with some professional athletes years ago, and really have done it all. So today on the EverForward podcast, I discuss everything from superhero transformations to business to life to how we can approach our overall wellness. And I'm just very excited to be here. Thanks.
Don, welcome to the show, man. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, man.
You're just kind of sharing with me, you're the fitness lifeblood of New York, it seems, man.
Yeah, man. I've definitely been doing this for a while. In 1999, got a job at a big box gym. I thought it was important for me to really clean up weights and understand how that corporate element of gyms operated. And it was actually great timing because I was working at Equinox in 99 when the Erico family owned it. And then I saw it went through its first acquisition, I think 6 months into when I was working there. And I'll never forget a GM of the company that owned Equinox then, which no longer owns it. Remember her coming in and looking at all of us and just telling us that we're all expendable and being like, holy shit. Like
she said those words.
She said those words to 45 coaches. We had 45 coaches. And at the time I was like,
nice.
What? Yeah, I was like, yeah. But you want to know what? It was interesting because at the moment you're looking at, 44 other coaches and they're all looking at each other like, how can she actually say this?
Yeah.
But the reality is it was an absolutely terrible way to deliver that message, but it's the truth. It really is. It's the truth. And then, opened my first club, did my first round of funding in 2003, raised about $5 million.
Ooh, nice.
Opened my first club in 2005. It was a golf fitness training facility. Started working with superheroes in, 2007, 2008. And then my business really evolved from a brick and mortar, golf fitness training facility to now I'm working with all these Marvel actors, all these DC actors, really implementing that performance physique, but understanding those words that she said, like I'm expendable, right? So never, I think never at any point did I think I was bigger than the game. And I think that's why I showed a high level of success, doing what I'm doing.
What I hear in your story, man, is it just embodies the EverForward mantra. And just like what I love diving into with people most is you heard you're expendable.
Yeah.
And you were probably presented with a very bitter truth or just a harsh reality.
It's the truth. It was a terrible way to deliver.
But it didn't stop you. In fact, like it sounds like it only empowered you.
It empowered me, and it actually, yes, it empowered me. It really helped me in my career because, I've worked with probably more celebrities than, I'd probably say almost any coach on the planet. I'd probably put one or two other coaches up there. Coaches I'm friends with on the West Coast that I've worked with a lot, but I wouldn't say, I can't name anyone really. And, I really feel like that knowing that going into establishing relationships with these people was helpful because listen, you travel with them, you become friendly with them. They put you on a platform, you're on this specific pedestal. I never want to be referred to as a celebrity trainer. I always thought that devalued my education. But I learned to embrace it. But through that whole process, I still remembered and understood that if I'm not delivering what I need to deliver to them, they should fire me. And I think it was that level of humility that I was able to establish that really has kept me in the game for a long period of time. Fortunately, now I'm not even training people one-on-one anymore. I mean, I have an online community of thousands. And I still, there's a couple people I work with because of a love I have for them. And so, Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively, Annie Hathaway, Sebastian Stan. These are people that I'm close with, but all in all, I'm not taking on people and I won't do that. And I might work a couple hours a week in that world, but all in all, I'm building I've built my digital empire and I'm focusing on that. So
that's huge, man. Funny to say Sebastian Stan. Actually, like 2-3 weeks ago, I ran into Frank Grillo. And For those who don't
Billions.
know, actor in Captain America.
Well, what was the fighting movie the fighting show that he was doing that was awesome? With one of the Jonas
with
brothers,
Nick Jonas. Yeah, a boxing show.
Oh my God,
he's incredible.
Yeah, he's
a legit fighter.
Oh yeah,
and so have you ever trained him?
I've never trained him, but I have a friend of mine, Charles Thorpe, who's editor of Men's Journal, Rolling Stone magazine. He does a lot of work with Grillo, and I've only heard good things with him. I have a couple of my clients have filmed with him. So,
well, I was gonna say, if you are it's working. Seeing him in person, I was like, damn.
I got nothing. I got nothing to do with Frank.
And looking.
I think
great.
Frank's got his hand on the pulse pretty well. Everyone looks like he really enjoys a lot of fight training, and I'm sure there's an element of strength training in there as well. But for a guy in his 50s, he's outdoing guys who are in their 30s. So hats off to him.
Yeah, and I felt more empowered because we're ordering the same smoothie at Earth Bar. Yeah. And I was like, Frank, it's like, oh, man, nice to meet you. Super cool, love what you do. And he's like, oh, God, for some reason I thought I owed you money. And I was like, if you want to, you can, but no, man, just here to cheers the smoothie.
Yeah, that's very funny.
But I mean, when you work with people like at that caliber, like Frank or Sebastian or all these other actors, that it's not only important to them, they have to perform at this high level. Do you prefer that? Like you're in your heart of hearts as a coach and a trainer, is it like, I only want this level of motivation and commitment because the results are going to be that much more? What's it like working with people at this level?
I like to make a lot of impact. I like impact, right? Yeah. Like I mean, some of the people I've enjoyed helping, a woman that was almost 900 pounds that we've gotten down to probably in the high 300s now. It's taken years to do so, right? And this was not a Biggest Loser 1 year. This is a 6-7 year process. And it's like this. So for me, it's, where can I make the most impact? Now, working with people like Ryan Reynolds or Blake, I love them. They're family, and they're they're low maintenance, and they're just a pleasure, and they do so much for me that I love trying to contribute in any which way. So I think the movies are fun because you can see a finished product, but at the end of the day, if I could turn around and help save someone's life who, was, being weighed on a meat scale at 900 pounds, or a gentleman I was introduced to recently, and I do all this stuff for free. I don't charge for working with people like that because they're in different areas and maybe they don't have the finances to do it. A gentleman recently came into me, 515 pounds. And couldn't walk more than 400 steps a day. He just sent me his Oura Ring reading from yesterday, and he's hitting 8,000 steps now. So things like that is incredible. Yeah, 2 glasses of water a day, he's getting 200 ounces. We've changed his whole eating. His body composition is changing. So those things for me are, I think, the most fun, because when you can turn around and take someone from not being able to do something as simple as walking, or they're walking with crutches, or they're wheeling themselves around, and then you can give them some sort of normalcy back in their life. To me, I think that's the most rewarding. And I would say that in front of all my celebs, and they would nod and say, absolutely. So, but working with the celebrity end of it, it's a lot of fun to turn around and have a project and have a vision in your head and in their head of where we need to take them, and getting them there is really fulfilling as well.
Is it easier as a coach, as a trainer, to quite literally get, hey, this is the end result we need this person to look like, versus, all right, we're just going to get you strong, we're going to get you lean, kind of thing?
I always prefer to do things slowly, which is ironic because I'm in a business where there's always a time frame now.
I was going to say, you're probably under the gun a little bit.
Yeah, but you do what you have to do. It's I can't speed up life. I can't speed up nature. I can't speed up a process. Like everything I've always done is, I'm known as a coach that's done it naturally. There's never been, any sign of performance enhancing anything with the work that I do. So when people come into me and they say, and it's different. Like people who are relying on performance enhancing substances, it's different. They metabolize food differently. They recover differently. So to do it the way that I've been doing it for 25 years, it takes more time. But there's longevity involved in that. Because do we really know, right? Do we really know if someone who's in their 40s gets on something that is going to speed things up? Do you really know what's going to happen in 15 years? No doctor can say yes. You don't know. So why am I ever going to do that? I'd rather do it the right way and take my time doing things. And listen, if a production company calls me and they're like, we need him to lose 20 pounds. I'm like, okay, what do you need him to lose 20 pounds for? Well, we think it's 20 pounds. I'm like, all right, what do you need him to look like? Like a lot of times they don't even really
totally
know.
different questions.
It's totally different questions. Like if they have to lose X amount of weight to fit in this prosthetic suit that has to look this way, I understand. I understand. Dave Harbour, I worked with Dave Harbour for Hellboy. And
he got in incredible shape.
He got in incredible shape, but
Hellboy. You were working with him for that role?
For Hellboy, yes. So I worked
Hats off, man. It looked incredible.
Yeah, but he was wearing a prosthetic suit. But to get into that
in the Hellboy suit.
Yeah, in the Hellboy suit, he couldn't pick up a 24 kilogram kettlebell because his back was in such bad shape. And in 9 weeks, we had him do probably a 90% effort pull off the floor at 400 pounds.
Wow.
So to be able to establish that foundation for him to be able to go off to Bulgaria and shoot what he needed to shoot was the main goal. But a few weeks in, I got a call from Dave and they were like going to stop his training. And I said, why? He's like, well, I'm losing too much weight. I said, no, you're not. The goal was we needed to keep you around 250 pounds.
Right, yeah.
And you're 249 pounds. So, well, let me rephrase that. The body composition for the suit is changing too much. All right, that's different. So I think a lot of times the words people use is a little confusing. For me, it's never really about a number on a scale. It's about what do you need to look like, right? Like, what do you need to appear to, like Hugh Jackman turning around saying, well, I have to put on 30 pounds for Wolverine. No, you don't. You have to look a certain way for Wolverine. If that's done with 10 pounds, that's what it is. Like we need to create this appearance. We need to get you in some type of a caloric surplus. And I prefer us not to rush that process because then things can get really sloppy.
All right. You brought him up. I didn't know you worked. Did you work with Hugh for Wolverine?
I worked with him for a year when he lived down by me and he lived down by
all right. So my inner child is screaming right now. I am such a huge Wolverine fan, X-Men fan. I a couple of years ago had on his life coach. And so now this is two people we've had in here who have worked with the Wolverine. So I'm like, I'm having a little moment right now, man. So what does it take to train like the Wolverine? What was that process like with Hugh and just like getting to like Wolverine status?
No different than I'd be training with an athlete. No different than I'm training with someone who's driven, who wants to put on a significant amount of muscle. Like I've always taken a performance physique approach to my training. I'm not a bodybuilder, but I've been on plenty of covers of magazines, right? I'm not a professional athlete, right? But I have trained like that, and I was, playing. I got picked up to play professional baseball at a time during my life, but I worked with a lot of professional golfers. I worked with a lot of professional athletes. So I live in the middle of this physique world and this performance world. And I think when training celebrities, we really got to try and meld that together. It's not important that we're competing in the Olympics. Obviously, if they're doing like a max effort, snatch or deadlift, is it really important? The answer is no. On the other hand, we have to establish this level of movement quality, and we have to put on this level of muscle for them to be believable in the role that they're in. Because if Hugh was walking in that role, look 150 pounds, like a stick figure, it's not going to be as believable. So it really comes down to, how do we create that character to make that role, be as believable as possible? And that's what's interesting about actors is a lot of the really good actors I've worked with, they never want to be in this no offense to them, but they never want to be in this Dwayne Johnson status because I think that really kind of puts him into one specific category. It's a great category. He's one of the most successful actors.
Working with Black Adam too now.
It's fantastic. I mean, but he's big and he's in a specific role. He's kind of gone that Arnold route a little bit, doing a little comedy, doing his action, et cetera, et cetera. But when you're working with someone like Billy Crudup, who's doing Broadway and has to look a certain way, you got to really keep this person pretty neutral. And you have to allow them to adapt if they ever need to put on a significant amount of muscle. Where are they? If they have to drop weight, where are they? So I always like to say my line, and I definitely coined this line, is I'm trying to keep everyone about 2 weeks out.
I like that.
What does that mean? I'm like, no, like if you got a call to be on a magazine cover, how many weeks would it take? Roughly 2 weeks of us tightening the diet up. Does the training really change? No, it doesn't. Like I don't raise reps before to cut up. That's nonsense, by the way. It's a complete false. You don't start raising reps when you want to like cut someone up. When someone is in a caloric deficit, I've found it's actually better to go heavier because you're maintaining that level of muscle density. which is the biggest mistake that people make when they're going into body composition change. They just want to run around and train their heart rate, and they just want to work up a sweat, but they're never really, developing that deep level
keeping
of
that
muscle.
sarcoplasmic density.
Yes, you want to develop that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You want to develop that, like those dense muscles.
Thickness.
Yeah. But if you're removing, heaviness from their training and you're just running them around when they're in a deficit, I find they actually can get very soft and very flat. So
how can, we'll say the everyday person here, we're all superheroes in our own light, right?
Yeah.
What does it take? What does it look like for us to be 2 weeks out?
Wow. I think we're all starting in different spots.
Sure.
Right. And I think you need to understand that the training age needs to be there. And when I say that is I'm 45 years old. My training age is north of 30 years because I've been doing this seriously for over 30 years. So if you're someone who's coming in and you've been training a year or 2, 3, like you need to develop that muscle maturity. It's going to take time. Some of us genetically are better off than others, but you really need this level of discipline. And most people aren't understanding how important consistency is with their nutrition.
Oh, it's everything. Even
their training. But like if you're, measuring macros, like it gets a good rap, it gets a bad rap. There's times of the year I measure, there's times of the year I don't measure, right? But measuring always allows me to understand where am I really? Like
that's why I come back to measuring. I whip out MyFitnessPal every few weeks just to be like, all right, how really close am I to my total calories, to my protein? It's just a quick little snapshot.
Right. No, I use Chronometer, right? Chronometer is it's more accurate. There's not, the general public isn't inputting in the stats. So like Chronometer is the way to go.
I haven't heard of that one. Okay.
Chronometer is the best one on the market. Hands
I haven't
down.
tracked like religiously in a long time. So
but to track using Chronometer and I think understanding a general idea of where your macros need to be. And how do you do that? A simple Mifflin calculator. Like you can go out and do RMR testing. The wearables are actually starting to get you into a range now, like Apple Watch or a Ring. Like it's getting you into a range, but I still believe that once you're in that range, you need about 2 weeks to be able to make adjustments. So you have to have 2 weeks of no cheats, no nothing.
To get like true baseline.
Yeah, what's going on? Like what's going on in your body right now? All right, Don, like my Mifflin calculator or my chronometer is telling me I need 3,000 calories a day. I'm making that number up just to be, really keep it really simple. And I'm like, all right, have you been hitting it? Well, I'm at 2,000 calories a day. I was like, all right, well, listen, we're not going to get to 3,000 calories by tomorrow. So let's do this. Let's bump it 250 this week. That's it? Yes. Like you're really low in carbs, so I want you to bring your carbs up first. We're going to bring that up. The math on that would be, 40, what is it? 25 grams of carbs is 100 calories. 25 grams of protein is 100 calories. Like it's not a lot. Like you're already at 200 there.
Yeah, you can get that done in like a pretty solid snack, technically.
It could be done easily, or you can just distribute it over if you're eating 4 or 5 times a day. Like 200 calories right there, 25 grams of carbs. Like you could turn around into 5 meals and do 5 grams a meal. It's too easy. But no one understands. It's just basic math. So just understanding, laying out your plan. Where are you right now? Where do we need to get you? There's a period of getting you up to that point, which I think should be taken slowly. Assessing how's our energy level. Are we losing weight? Are we gaining weight? How does your digestion feel? And once we get you to that point of, all right, this is where we need to be, or we think you need to be, leveling that off for 2 weeks and seeing what is happening with your body. And then at that point, we can make adjustments. All right, I'm down 3 pounds. All right, the goal is not to be down 3 pounds. How you feeling? I'm getting hungry now. Great. How's your energy? My energy is really good. And you're down 3 pounds. All right, let's try bumping it up a little bit more. And then you determine based what macronutrient you want to start driving up. And then it becomes a game. Then you start slowly doing it. But just turning around and saying, here, very rarely are we nailing that bullseye,
So true, man. And after establishing baseline, wholeheartedly agree with. And that's exactly what I would recommend people when I would work with them. The same thing is, you've got this goal, you have an idea of what it looks like, feels like, if we're trying to be the Wolverine, which I always am, or you're just trying to like fit back into genes that you had before kids kind of thing.
100%.
It's like locking onto kind of that identity and that vision, first and foremost requires baseline of who you are and where you are right now. So where do we go next in terms of, actually, let me ask, where should we not go next? Maybe misconceptions that people are doing that you see in the fitness nutrition space. After baseline, they go here and they maybe shouldn't.
I think they panic.
Really?
I think most people start panicking. I think when they don't receive that immediate validation or they don't receive it at a specific rate.
Okay.
They're
not getting the result fast enough.
I got to change it, right? And it takes a lot of discipline if you think about it. If someone's in 1,000 calorie deficit, which honestly I think is pretty common, like you know, and think about it. Someone's trying to eat healthy. They're waking up, maybe whipping up a few eggs and a piece of fruit. Then for lunch, they're having a little salad with like a piece of fish, and they're like, "Oh my God, I'm eating great." But how many calories have they really consumed at that point? Then they're having a BS snack in the afternoon. Yeah. By the time they're rolling around to dinner, they could be at 1,200-1,500 calories where they're trying to hit 3,000 for the day, which
underconsumption of calories, I think, is the biggest thing that's going on. People don't realize, myself included. Whenever I said would come back to tracking, I'm like, oh shit, like I'm getting like 1,800 calories, and like my maintenance is usually around like 2,500.
Yeah, right. And then when you tack on it, that's just maintenance, right? So I think that's where there's not that level of discipline, and that's where coaching comes in. I think when you have someone standing there on your arm saying, listen, hang in there. I'll never forget the first cover of Muscle and Fitness I ever shot. I called up my friend, Dr. Ben House, who was, I think at the time living in Costa Rica. And I was talking to him about my macro breakdown. He was validating a lot of it. And he said, all right, let's give it a, jump into it. And I said, great, right? Because I like consulting with people when it's time to dial things in. I always want to find ways to do things a little bit better. Yeah. And I remember the first week, I think I lost 7 or 8 pounds, which
first week.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of weight to lose.
Yeah.
Right? My body fat's always single digits. I weigh about 215 pounds. My macros before that shoot, I'll never forget, 275 grams of protein, which is about a 1.25 grams per pound. I was at about 500 grams of carbs a day, all through solid, right? And my fats were at about 125. So I remember dropping from 500 grams of carbs to 300 grams of carbs. I dropped my fats from 125 to 90, and my protein stayed about the same. So still good numbers, right? Like I still think if someone's running in at my size with those numbers, they're still good numbers. Yeah. But I immediately lost all this weight. And then suddenly I was like, all right, like 7 or 8 pounds. All right. And I'm talking with him. I'm like, what should I adjust? I'm trying to think. I'm just trying to think about what I should adjust now. And he's like, you know the answer to that. And I just started laughing on the phone. I was like, oh my God, like, you're right. Just stay where I'm at. And he's like, 100%. He's like, dude, you have 3 more weeks. Like, you only have 4 weeks for this, 3 more weeks. And every week my body got drier and drier. Like it wasn't.
Well, yeah, you're dropping 200 carbs, right? So
yeah, you're dropping roughly 200 carbs, but the weight didn't drop a lot after that. That was water weight. That was BS that kind of fell off me. But out of nowhere, every day I'm waking up, I'm seeing another vein come down my chest. I'm seeing more veins come out through my abs. Every day I'm seeing something. And then there was that level of patience where I just said, all right, let's just hang in there. And then shoot date, I didn't cut my water. I didn't cut my food. I didn't do it. Yeah, because timing is too difficult.
Yeah.
If you think about it, even Olympia competitors now, I can't tell you how many of my friends compete on stage in the Olympia and they're like, oh my God, like if Monday was only, the Saturday Expo, like I nailed it on Monday, like their timing's off. So what am I really trying to portray here? Am I trying to come in with something that's not attainable? The answer is no. I'm trying to come in with something that that actors can look at and say, okay, I want to be like that on the big screen, or something that's very doable. Right. And that was kind of my, then when I started shooting several covers, that was the approach that I took. Now, could I have gotten a little drier? Sure. Could I come in there a little lighter? Sure. But after those shoots, I was playing hockey that night. I was continuing to train.
You're living. Next day. Yeah. Still doing life.
Yeah.
Energy. Yeah.
And, but my body
not
fat,
crashing.
Every one of those shoots, I probably dropped from, 7 to maybe 4.5 doing hydrostatic weighing.
Shit, damn.
And in that period of time, I was able to do that. Or, I did DEXAs and I did different means of measuring to be able to just get into, I was like, all right, what is this compared to this? And what can this read? And that was interesting also, but I don't even really care about that. That was just more for myself. That was really for my own validation to say, all right, where was I at? I like quantifying that stuff for the next time.
Someone like you who, you do this here in New York, you do it online, you do it for celebrities.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel the pressure to have to stay like this, to kind of like have to stay ready at kind of like
I love it
just like this?
I love it. Like even right now, probably 2 to 3 weeks out, if I got a call from muscle right now to be doing it, like I love doing it. It's fun for me. I still live. I still understand the importance of balance. I was watching my brother in the club championship the other day. We were driving around the golf cart, drinking a couple Coronas. Like it was fun. It was Sunday. Do I abuse that stuff? No. Can I go 6 months without having an alcoholic beverage? Easily. It's not like that doesn't mean anything to me. But when it's time to splurge and enjoy, if it's a holiday, and I want to do it, I'll do it. On the other hand, I've had cover shoots that I've shot on January 10th. And I'm going into holiday meals with Tupperware. I don't care. People are like, oh, don't you want to live a little bit? I'm like, yeah, but I am living. This is part of me living. Part of me.
I'm living my life, not yours.
Right. This is what I want to do. This is what makes me happy. I've never turned around and said January 1, oh, I got to start doing this. I don't believe in that. I'm like, let's start now. Let's not wait till Monday. Let's not wait till the end of the summer. Let's start now and figure out how to manage this. Now, someone called me recently. They're like, oh, Donnie, could you help me out with this? I said, yeah. I said, do me a favor. Are you traveling this week? He said, yeah. I said, could you start tracking on the road? He goes, would you mind if I start when I come back? And I said, yeah, I do mind. I go, 50% of the year, you're on the road.
What did we just talk about?
Yeah, like track on the road so we can teach you how to manage that. And then let's track when you get back home. I haven't heard back from him since.
Oh, no.
No, but it's like he's a friend of mine. But it's funny when you give people.
Not the answer I wanted to hear, Don.
But that's people do that. Like when they hear what you don't want to say, it's very easy. They run the other way. And there's no tricks to any of this. There's no 20-day fix or BS program. If that's going to help you mentally reset, then I'm all for it. But this is about longevity. If you did a program and you lost a certain amount of weight and that was the goal, and then you put it back on, the program didn't work. It didn't work. It's like, oh, well, I did keto and it worked. I'm like, well, what happened? Well, I put it back on. Well, then it didn't work. Like I'm not saying I wouldn't tell certain people to use a ketogenic diet. There are people out there that need keto or fat adapted diets or, but all in all, if you can't maintain that and the goal is to maintain it, then it didn't work.
The age old question.
Sure.
Is it diet? Is it training?
Mental.
Ooh.
It's neither.
He went rogue, everybody.
Yeah, right. I did. It's like, because again, these numbers, I was on a call with someone coming over here, 10,000 steps a day. I'm like, who makes up this bullshit?
Yeah.
It really is.
Where did that come from?
It's like what an ounce of bullshit. Like I told you recently, I had a guy getting 400 steps a day in. Am I going to turn to him and tell him 10,000?
What you're doing isn't good enough.
I just need him to improve.
Yeah.
Like so why are we going to turn around and say, now if someone gets 8,000 steps a day, but did intense exercise, ate really good, laughed, walked around barefooted, got in the sunlight, slept well, like, is that wrong? Like, this is just people slap numbers on things. And because of that, we're ruining society. So, I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it does. It gives me good insight. And kind of reminds me of something you were talking about earlier with this person you were talking about that was like over 400 pounds.
515.
515.
Yeah,
wow. Okay.
This guy was 515.
So in extremer situations like that, we're not trying to get cut up for 2 weeks out, but this is someone's life we're talking about.
What are the steps?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think it was, what are the simplest, most impactful things that we can do? And the answers to this: water, walking, right?
Physical activity, not exercise. We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. I actually charted it. Him and I went through it the other day when he came into me in May. Our first workout, because I sat with him, I'm like, can I help you? And I heard him talk. I said, listen, do me a favor. Let's just walk and talk. And I had him walk for 10 minutes and 3 seconds with his crutches. And he turned to me and goes, that's the most I've walked in probably 10 years.
Wow.
In one sitting. So right there, I was like, okay, like, are we starting with this? No, all we were about the first, few weeks was steps until I got him to about 30 minutes. And then I said, all right, listen, we can't sit him down on the bench. We can't put him back flat. We can't walk him up and down the stairs. So what can we do? We can get him to standing to a cable. We can have him do standing basic dumbbell isolation work. And, now that's evolved into, like I said, the other, 8,000 steps, 200 ounces of water a day.
That's huge, man.
And, he's doing like suspension trainer squats. He's walking up and down, doing step ups. We slowly, we're doing a lot of frequency training rather than volume, because his body's going to break down with volume. So I'm trying to train everything. Yeah, it's full bodies every day. It's 6 days a week. Well, isn't that too much? No, our intensity came down. The volume comes down per workout. We're just trying to get them moving. Now, what's the first form of cardio I can do besides walking? My best decision was the ski erg because a treadmill can't hold him because of his body weight. The treadmills are tested at probably about 350
Not
pounds.
getting on and off any equipment, there's risk mitigation.
The equipment's going to break.
Yeah.
It just won't hold his body. So stairs are out of the question. Jumping rope is out of the question. These are treadmill walking out of the question. Rower out of the question. Airdyne bike, even the new HD bike by Life Fitness, things $2,500 can hold about 350 pounds. So we're talking about someone who's 500 pounds. So we had him doing standing, ski erg or battle ropes, another great way to go about doing it. And then in time, ironically, starting to get him to carry a little bit because his body weight's dropped, probably about 80 pounds so far. So, but his body composition has changed drastically and his activity level has gone through the roof.
That's huge.
So it really is. It's like this day-to-day we're measuring. How's your body feeling? We just increased you from 4,000 to 4,500 steps. Good. By the time we hit 6,000 steps, knees are killing me. Let's back off today. Let's come in, do a little bit more upper body. We'll do a little bit more ski erg.
Yeah.
How do you feel now?
Checking in with the body.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the following day, it's like, my body feels great. All right, back on the steps immediately. Like I need you to develop that resiliency. He hit 8,000 yesterday, which was his biggest day, which I was happy about.
Go shout out. That's amazing.
John, great job.
Yeah.
So it really is. It's not this. Now, if I was to turn around and give him a program where, no, like even lat pull downs, like I had to line up a bench. He had to sit on the bench because he couldn't fit in the seat of the lat pull down. The row machine, I have a habit, like I have a full commercial grade gym in my backyard. I built a 2,000 square foot barn. And
damn.
It's awesome. We could probably,
that's incredible.
40 people can go in there easily.
Damn.
It's awesome. So, but like I have a hammer strength row. I had him do them standing. You know what I'm saying? Like supported rows on the bench, one arm, face pulls, one arm rows, right? Now suddenly starting to get him into a little bit of a split stance to work on that stability, the step ups on the, on just the staircase, basic, easy things that he can hit. And now we're starting to challenge him a little bit more. So
with him or just like in general, when we're talking about somebody who is obese, morbidly obese or training to, like for their life, have you ever encountered like an emotional blockage? And what I specifically mean by that is it reminds me of this one client I had years ago. And for the first time in a decade, we got her under 300 pounds.
Where'd she start at?
I think like 350, 360. And
big accomplishment.
It was great. And it was over the course of a little over a year, almost 2 years actually. And then after 300, she was missing check-ins, missing the group, missing the coaching.
Yeah.
Long story short, she kind of had like this breakdown of, I don't feel safe under 300. And what began to surface was a lot of like childhood trauma of this guy that her dad was dating, that he would emotionally and even sexually abuse and push around everybody else, including her mother and sisters, but not her because she was bigger. And so there was this emotional blockage of, if I get smaller, I'm unsafe and I'm not gonna be able to protect my family. Have you seen that? How do you
not that story right there?
Or just like a deep rooted experience that I think people might not be realizing is not letting them let go of this.
I think for someone to get to that point, there's got to be something deep, internally deep going on. I mean, for you to get to close to 900 pounds, there's something, there's something going on there. And a lot of times, I mean, you hope you can help, but you also got to understand that I'm a coach. I'm not I'm not a therapist. And yes, I've seen along the way, it is not this steady climb. It's really not. Like I had a setback with one of the people that I worked with who's lost 500 pounds. And
lost 500 pounds.
She's lost 500 pounds.
Wow.
So yeah, lost 500 pounds. And she got down to about 350, 360 pounds. Yeah. And then she gets on with me and she's very emotional about not wanting to log and not wanting to put her numbers up. And I said, I never told you to do that on social media. That was something that was motivating you early on. No problem. Came down to she didn't want to do that because she was lying to me.
Oh, really? Wow,
right.
Wow.
So then I found out a year later, because when someone loses that much weight, they're carrying a lot of skin. I'd probably say they're carrying 50 to 75 pounds of skin when you lose over 500 pounds. That would be my guess. And based off of the surgeons that I've spoken to. And when you're sitting there looking at her diet, which looks pretty perfect, and they're stuck at this number, then suddenly I said, get back on a scale now. I know you're upset about, get back on a scale now. When you see that number, is up 40 to 60 pounds, I forgot what it was exactly. I said, you lying to me? She got emotional, started crying, the whole nine. I said, listen, I'm not getting paid for this. You also got to understand, if you need help in one aspect of your life, we're going to find that for you. But for me to do my job, we need honesty. And if I don't have that, I can't do my job. And
with you and themselves.
Right. But if someone wants to look at this right now and be like, oh, Don, that's bullshit, and they're deep-rooted problems. I am sympathetic to it. I've given 7 years of my time. I've documented every day, every day of communication. 360, she messaged me 365 days a year. I get a message. I've documented every single day of communication. Don't tell me whether I'm dedicated or not. I don't take off on holidays. This is my mission. This is my purpose is to help people here. But I need some truth. I need some honesty here. So yeah, you have those moments where you got to turn around and, I don't believe in massaging someone's shoulders 24/7. I believe in telling them, excuse my language, you fucked up. Like you are. Like, I'm not going to sit here and pat you on the back because you put yourself in a situation to get you back to where we need to get you to.
Yeah.
This isn't going to be easy. This is going to be hard. And I think that's like that with everyone, whether you're 500 pounds overweight or whether you've developed some really bad habits. When you're used to doing something a specific way every day, you've got to look at yourself in the mirror and say, what is my solution here? What do I need to do?
Yeah.
If I'm having that ice cream every night, it's making me feel like complete crap, then stop having it. Well, it's easier said than done. No, it's not. No, it is. Stop having it. It's going to be hard in the beginning. It takes some time. It takes some retraining. But when you're used to doing something every single, I wake up every day. You know what I do? First thing I do every day, brush my teeth, drink water, eat breakfast, take email, shower. It's not hard for me to do anymore because that's been part of I don't wake up and say, oh my God, I forgot to brush my teeth.
Right.
I do that 2-3 times a day. I shower 2-3 times a day. I'm always sweating. I'm always training. It's but these are people don't have to tell me to do this, but these are habits that I've instilled in my life that, yes, is training easy for me now? Yes, it's a way of my life. I've done this over, 30 plus years of my life. These are things that it's not hard, but it's interesting. You look at I've worked with some pretty successful business people. I have one, I can't mention his name. He's probably worth, I'll lower the number because it's going to say he's worth over $30 billion. And he's exceptional in one area of his business, but then other areas of his life, he's not. The training piece of it. But he hasn't taken the same approach. Like establishing his business, he knew he started at the finish.
Well, to get to that level, I'm sure sacrifices had to be made.
Sacrifices had to be made.
Usually the self is first.
Establishing team, recognizing that you can't do everything on your own, having a plan, right? Like having a plan is important. Yet people with fitness, I'm going to go for a run today. Oh, I'm just going to go to the gym and I'm just going to pull up this workout that I like and I'm just going to do that. What is it? Oh, it's a chess program. The next thing you know, you're doing chess 3-4 times a week, right? But there's no plan. And then people turn around and ask, why aren't I seeing a result? I don't get it. Like I've launched businesses. You've been a part of businesses. Like in doing this, you have to have a plan. Right? Like if you don't have a plan, you weren't waking up today going, oh, let me call Don and let me just walk down to this podcast studio and
just magically fell together.
But people take that same approach to their health and wellness. Oh, I'm just going to wake up and eat right. Oh, I'm just not going to have any idea of what's going into my body. Oh, I'm not going to plan out the night before what my meals look like or what time I'm going to bed. If I have to be up at 4 a.m. tomorrow morning, I better know what time I'm going to bed tonight.
Yeah.
Right. And if I'm going to a concert tonight and I don't get out till 11 o'clock and then I train home, I'm home by 1:30, I got a problem. So there are sacrifices and there's discipline that has to be made. Yet in this world, we think we could just turn on a Peloton class and that's going to solve our answers. And most of the time it really doesn't.
I want to kind of bring it back to something you were saying a few minutes ago that I think is so incredible that a lot of people probably don't realize when they're the person being coached, person being trained.
Right.
A good trainer, a good coach, yourself, there's a level of dedication. There's a level of commitment. There's a level of I give a damn that is so significant that 100%. I think people might have the misconception that, oh, I'm paying you, so just do your job. But when you show up, it's a job. It's a paid job. It's an unpaid job. But the level of commitment to them and their well-being and their longevity and their goals like, why don't they see that? Why is that being taken for granted? I don't think people realize that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have fired clients in the past.
Oh yeah, same.
Yeah, and I know it's to a point where I'm like, listen, man, like I got a lot to offer, and if you don't want to take advantage of that, if you need someone to just entertain you, it's like no, like
I'm here because I want to be here.
I want to be
help
here.
You, and
I want to be here, and I have no problem with checking. I do. Like the 1 hour session I always did, I thought was the easy part. It was thinking about them when they were going out Friday night or
the other 23, right?
Yeah,
it's
like
other 23.
It's like, all right, well, you're going out to dinner Friday, and then I'm like, hey, listen, looked over the menu. I know you're trying to stay strict. These are the items that you can have, or messaging them Sunday morning. Hey, hope you had a good time last night. I know it was your birthday. Oh, I get done. I ate too much. No, dude, that's part of it. It's part of it. Like that's when I want you to enjoy. I want you to enjoy on those occasions. It's the Tuesday night when you're home with your wife and you're bored and you want to open 2 bottles of wine. That's why I'm like, we can avoid this. But today, now we're not waiting until Monday. Let's get back on it. You know, and let's start eliminating. I don't even like to call it error. I like to call it part of life, but what they think of as error, like, oh, I'm slipping off all right, we did it Saturday night. Awesome. Let's get back on it Sunday rather than, I'm going to get back on it Monday.
Yeah, those are how we learn and where we learn to get back on the path. And what path? Well, the one that's being molded right before us.
Right. And that's why I'm like, well, let's just try and do better than last year. So 365 days, someone turned around and they had, they drank every day for 365 days. There's probably a problem here. That's a little bit, but if the following year they're able to eliminate that by 2/3, and go like every third day, every fourth day, whatever it is, that's an improvement.
Huge,
Do we still need to address this?
Yeah.
Probably. I've had people that we've actually been able to wean off that to a point where they just enjoyed on occasions that were drinking.
Amazing.
I had a client that was drinking over 10 bottles of wine a week.
Holy shit.
By himself.
Wow.
So I've seen, there's a bigger problem here, but I've seen people be able to go from, one spot in their life to another. And that becomes motivating, but you got to be willing to make that change. And for a coach to turn around and say, it's 80% diet, it's 20% training. Listen, man, this is just, what is the goal? If the goal is to be on the cover of Muscle and Fitness, all right, you're going to have to do a little bit more. If the goal is to look better naked, to increase energy levels, to be able to feel better, then we can do that with a minimalistic approach. We're just going to have a little compromise.
What you're talking about there is really the embodiment of what I'm talking about here in Ever Forward, and that's how do we live a life ever forward. But before I get to my final question, man, I got to ask one more selfish one.
Sure.
Give me one training tip and one nutrition tip. If I want to be the Wolverine, what's a core training principle and a core nutrition principle you would recommend for that end result goal?
I'll give you a couple on training. Let's start with the practice portion of my workout. I call it practice. I don't call it warm-ups because I don't put people on a bike to warm up. I don't really believe in that. I'm like, I'm getting on a bike to warm up for 5 minutes. I'm like, no, let's find the movements that we're inefficient in. Let's find things that we need to improve. It could be thoracic extension. It could be thoracic rotation. Could be glute activation, whatever you want to call it, right? But let's practice movements that we need to improve your overall movement wellness. Right? That's one. Two, I really believe that we have to start with something heavy. Like we have to develop
like heavy compound movements that we're talking about.
I like it, right? Now there's like I've trained with plenty of bodybuilders. We have started with isolation. We have pre-exhausted, but for most of the people out there, get strong at, when I see the big three, I don't necessarily mean the conventional deadlift, the conventional squat, and the bench press. I mean, get strong at some type of pulling,
pull, press
from the floor. Right? It could be a trap bar. It could be, something where we're getting stronger. A squat could be front squat, could be back squat, could be Frankenstein squats, could be Zercher squats, could be double bell squats, goblet squats, whatever. And implement in some unilateral work, which I think we really, I refer
secondary,
get some unilateral work in there. One arm press, one arm pull, split stance, split stance. And from an energy systems work standpoint, you really, stop saying what's best. Because if your body is stressed out, if you are working crazy hours and, you're Ryan Reynolds, who's, got to get up at 5 a.m. when he's shooting a certain movie to be on set at 7. He's got to get his training and he's not done till 10 p.m. Me throwing in HIIT style training is irresponsible. So I might just have him, walk on his off days or keep his heart rate low, around 120 beats a minute, get the waste out of his body.
Okay.
It psychologically helps him feel tighter and recover a little bit more. So
it's kind of pointless because he's never going to defeat Wolverine anyway. So it's I just saw some new promos with them about it, and I was like, awesome. Oh shit!
Both great guys, and honestly, like Hugh was the guy who really got me on the map. He was the guy that gave me that first opportunity.
Huge.
And we had a great relationship and loved him. Fantastic. I mean, naturally he moved and we didn't see each other much, but he really introduced me to Ryan, and Ryan became my brother. And Ryan's
that's huge, man.
Ryan's like, right now, who's winning in a fight? Deadpool's kicking. Sorry, Hugh. Deadpool's kicking your ass. I'll say it to Hugh's face right now. I got to stand on Ryan's feet, man. That's Ryan's my guy, man. He's my guy. He's kicking his ass.
Well, let me get one last nutrition advice for the Wolverine end goal here.
Yes. Don't be afraid of carbohydrates.
Okay.
It's just the source of carbs you need to consume. Metabolic flexibility is very important. You know what that is for those people who don't.
I run through a levels monitor a couple times a year just to again get that baseline.
Yeah, 100%. But understanding that carbs and fats are your energy source, protein is your muscle building block, and calories are your energy. And a lot of us get afraid of calories and we say, oh, I got to go low cal. Get your body to process calories more efficiently. Get them to utilize your protein and fat. Your fats and your carbs, which is your energy source, more efficiently. And I think in time, you're going to see that body composition, ironically, will improve. And rather than always removing and pulling, because everyone's under the assumption that you have to be in a deficit. You do not have to be in a caloric deficit to improve body composition.
Oh, wholeheartedly agree.
And I know you agree with me. And for those nutritionists who want to argue with me, 3,000 calories a day through McDonald's or 3,000 calories a day through the way that we cook, your body's going to respond differently to it. You're going to sleep better. Your hormones are going to love you more. Your body's going to recover differently. Your skin, your inflammation, everything changes.
Amazing.
So don't be afraid of calories.
Yeah.
That's the one thing where Ryan's evolved a lot was when he was training years ago, 12, 13 years ago, and he was doing no carb. And now I think his body now is looking better by consuming things like sweet potatoes and fruits and vegetables, and understanding that we need to have meals that are micronutrient dense and macronutrient dense.
Of course, yeah.
And, that's what I think the secret, there's no secret, but I think if there's something you guys want to focus on, put some time into making sure your plate looks healthy. Protein, carbs, vegetable, obviously your fats will be mixed in there. And if you can do that, I think you're on your way. Just be patient and allow your body to make some change over the next couple of months.
Patience. Absolutely. Well, Don, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, man.
So awesome.
I mean, your passion for helping people of all walks of life, quite literally being able to walk, stepping onto the screen, stepping onto stage, stepping back into their life, dude, incredible.
Awesome.
So my last question for you to kind of bring it home to the theme of Ever Forward. When you hear those words, what does it mean to you? How do you live a life ever forward?
First off, it starts with my family. So I've got two beautiful kids, Amelia, who's 15, Donnie, who's turning 14. I got an amazing wife, Melissa. We're a team. So I think it's understanding that balance and just building memories with them. I think it's cleaning my side of the street. I think it's understanding that in my life, I got to make sure that I'm training, my nutrition's good, my sleep's good. All these things that most people would refer to as being selfish, that's part of what I need to be able to dedicate to the most important thing, and that's my family. It's always moving forward with business. I just launched this week. We just launched a curriculum.
Congratulations!
Thank you. It's a 20-hour. It's 20 hours of videos, worksheets. You got over 100 lessons, and we're doing partnerships with companies like Perform Better. And I'm really excited because we went from having very successful brick and mortar facilities to now showing people how to monetize their online business. And we do that through actionable steps. It's not just oh, this is theory and this is what we went through. Guys, this is step 1, step 2, step 3. So for those coaches out there, nutritionists, Dr. G.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we're doing
Gabrielle Lyon, by the way.
Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, awesome.
Homie.
And I think it's always, I always need to feel like I'm moving forward. I need to be, there's this level of complacency that I fear, and that I always want to run scared and remove that level of complacency. And as long as I'm building or working in the right direction, when it comes to my health, my family, my fitness, my business, if I'm doing that, I'm a pretty happy person.
moving in any direction might be what you need to do to get started.
Yeah.
Because when you're moving in any direction, you'll realize the direction you need to go.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Totally agree, man.
Don, it's been a pleasure, man.
Dude,
Thank you so
it's
much.
so great being on. Thanks.
This was great. I'm gonna have all the information down in the show notes, video notes for everybody to check out. Where can they go right now if they want to check out what you're doing the most online?
You know what? DonSaladino.com.
Okay.
It's cool. I mean, my Instagram, I'm on all handles at Don Saladino.
Okay.
If anyone's got a question, fire a DM off to me.
Too easy.
This guy's doing big things, so I'm honored to be on this with you.
Oh, my pleasure, man. Thank you so much.